So people often ask, why is it so expensive to replace a window or a front door? And if you've ever felt sticker shock on a quote, don't worry, you're not alone. Today I'm going to explain the honest, real reason behind the cost without sugarcoating it. Replacing a window or door isn't like buying a toaster or a pair of shoes. There are technical and system costs that people don't see. The first thing that you need to understand is most companies have fixed costs. These are things that don't change whether you're replacing one window or 10. Licensed companies are going to have overhead, and every job needs to justify mobilization, travel, insurance, permits, administration work, any engineering on the project, any paperwork associated with the project. And in addition to that, you also have management costs. And that's true whether you're replacing one window or just one door. And what happens is when you spread these fixed costs across a bunch of openings, each opening is going to absorb a smaller piece of that total. And when you only have a single unit, single door, whatever it may be, those fixed costs across a single unit, they might seem disproportionately high per opening, and that's just because you're only doing one. And it's not that this is a markup or any company's trying to take advantage of you, it's just how business works. We have costs that we have to cover. Another big factor people overlook is measurement and tolerance. So every opening in your home is different. So over time, your walls can settle, your corners aren't perfectly square, your ceiling shifts, block homes even shift a little bit, stucco is going to crumble over time. If you have a wood framed home, the wood frame homes are going to move a little bit, and every few millimeters off can make a window or a door not fit the way it should. When installing windows and ordering for windows, we pretty much have a 1/4 inch on each side of the opening of play where we can shim it or we can add a buck or something like that. But if the windows that were ordered are off by 1, 2, 3 inches or something like that, that's usually going to cause an engineering nightmare where your opening is going to have to be modified. And when the opening has to be modified, that's going to be far more expensive than just buying windows from a licensed distributor and a licensed installer that knows how to measure and install them, saving you a lot of time, frustration, headaches. I've seen a lot of cases where people order windows, the windows aren't the right size for their home. They think that, they can just easily fix those modifications, and then they find out later they need to hire an engineer. They need to modify an opening. And that in itself can cost you thousands more than you anticipated versus hiring a licensed company that knows the process, knows what to offer you, knows how to measure, knows how to order, gets it installed, gets it done right the first time, and the project is over. You can focus on the kitchen, the bathroom, whatever the next project you may have for your home. So the question shouldn't be, why is it so expensive? The question should be, why wouldn't it cost what it costs, given the system that we're working with? Another part of the cost is the permanent inspection process. Even though it's for a single opening, a licensed installer still needs to pull permits, as I mentioned before. They have to upload these approvals, schedule the inspections, manage all the paperwork, and all the administrative costs, the compliance that we have to go through. It's the same whether you're doing a single opening or a whole home. So when someone looks at a quote for the front door and they see a number that feels high, they're really seeing the cost of the system required to do it right, not just the cost of the glass, the metal, and the labor. Well, some homeowners ask, can't I just buy the window and save money? And the honest truth is, it's almost always going to end up costing you more. So if you buy a product first and then have someone else to come install it, you don't have accountability tied to the measurement and the fit of those windows. So if it doesn't fit, you're stuck. Now, is it the person you bought the windows from, or is it the person who's supposed to install them? Who took the measurement? And it puts you in a bad situation as a homeowner where you can easily be taken advantage of. And on the other hand, if the product was cheap and it was installed poorly, you're still paying for the install plus any corrections that you have to make. And then in the long run, you still don't have any guarantee on the performance of that window or that system. A better approach, if you're set on buying a window yourself, is to have the professional measure it first, have the installer verify the exact opening dimensions, and therefore, based on those measurements, you can move forward and get the job completed. So that's going to reduce some risk and protect your investment. But from a practical standpoint, most homeowners see the best results when one party handles the entire workflow. That means the measurements, ordering, permitting, the installation, and the whole project. And that way accountability is clear. There's no finger pointing, figure out who's responsible, who damaged the window, did the window come damaged, did the installer damage the window? It can really get complicated, and you as a homeowner may think that this is like simple and straightforward, but in reality, things can get complicated quick. Another part of the cost that a lot of homeowners don't think about is engineering and custom products. So not all openings are going to be standard rectangles. Some windows are going to have custom sizes, you're going to have unusual configurations, and that's going to require engineering paperwork, specialized glass packages, and sometimes structural review. At the bare minimum, a company that is comfortable and knows exactly how to order and place the orders. Because if we do mess up on an opening, understand that our lead time during the slow season is at least 4 to 6 weeks. So if you're in the middle of hurricane season and your window company orders the wrong windows, in some cases we've seen lead times, especially during COVID, jump anywhere from 16 to 30 weeks. In a normal year, under normal circumstances during the busy season, they can typically range anywhere from 10 to 16 weeks. So imagine all your windows are brand new, you have a piece of plywood covering an opening in your house, just because the company you hired didn't do a great job and take their time to make sure your order was right before placing the order. And that's where experience and professionalism really makes a difference. So what are your real options? You usually have three better strategies. You can include other openings in the project to reduce the amount of fixed costs and spread those out over more openings. Have one company handle the entire process for accountability and fewer surprises. Or you could explore financing or assistance program that makes small projects a little bit more affordable and make a little bit more sense. Things like no payment, no interest options, or state programs like My Safe Home Florida. One more point that often gets overlooked is quality over life benefits. A properly installed impact window or door isn't just about protection, it improves energy efficiency. It's going to reduce more noise, it's going to add security, and in some cases, it's going to qualify for insurance credits. Now, those benefits don't show up on the quote, but they do show up in real life. And finally, we have tools like a window and door cost estimator or a roof estimator that'll help set realistic expectations before anyone spends any time or money. Expectations matter, not so you choose the cheapest, so you choose the smartest solution for your home. At the end of the day, the cost of replacing a window or a front door is just going to cost what it's going to cost. But that's because of the infrastructure, the experience, and the professionalism around the product. And when you approach it that way, the number really starts to make sense. So if you've gotten 2 impact window quotes and the numbers aren't necessarily near each other, I want you to take a breath. This is one of the most common situations we have here in South Florida, and we see it all the time. And it's not because one company is trying to rip you off and the other one's trying to be the hero. It's because the details matter more than a lot of people realize. So let's slow this down.